Oh, we got another Florida video here because, as I mentioned in my last video, the situation down there in Broward County with the election is extremely complex, and it's hard to get in a single 10-minute video or so. There's a bunch of different subjects to tackle. But there is something suspect afoot. Now, in the last video I made, if you didn't see it, Tim Canova ran as a Democrat against Debbie Wasserman Schultz and lost. He wanted to see the ballots. The ballots were illegally destroyed by Brenda Snipes. Now, you want to talk about something strange happening. You've got the media saying there's no evidence, but well, there's the evidence. Tim Canova said court ruled ballots had been illegally destroyed in the past. Well, there you go. Something weird is going on. It's days after the election. This shouldn't be happening. But here's a story from the Daily Wire. Florida election supervisor threatens to arrest reporters for covering ballot counting. I gotta say, when somebody doesn't allow journalists into an event, something is going on. When they don't allow people to record the process of public elections, something weird is going on. So, listen, you want to talk about conspiracies? Yeah, they can happen. I'm not a conspiracist. I don't know what's going on. What I do know is this is strange, and that should be enough. It should be enough when they say you can't have press inside the room documenting what's happening here. It's when you know the woman in the past has done a bunch of things that have gotten her in trouble. Let's read the story. Leave it to my home state of Florida to struggle with an election amid the myriad of problems going on in the Sunshine State regarding the recent midterm elections. Now the Palm Beach County election supervisor is trying to ban media from covering the public ballot counting and threatening to arrest reporters to do so. Senator Marco Rubio has been all over the issues going on in Florida and tweeted Friday evening that Palm Beach County election supervisor bans media cameras from public ballot counting and threatens them with arrest. You know, a lot of people are going after Trump right now, saying Trump banning Jim Acosta was wrong. He shouldn't have done it. They're saying that Trump is banning him because he asked him the wrong question. Oh, please. The question he was asked has been asked 1,000,000 times. Jim Acosta's a grandstander. What's going on here in Florida is banning the press from a public election. Look. No one is entitled to sit in front of Donald Trump and ask him questions, okay? Like, when Trump has an event where he's bringing in the press, that's Trump's doing. You can ask him questions, but other presidents have gone months without talking to the press at all. There's no obligation for them to do so. They should, in my opinion, and journalists should question them, by all means. This is a public ballot. This is a public election in a highly contested race, and they're trying to ban the press. Okay, where's the media screaming foul now? Why don't they care about this? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Makes you wonder. It seems like people only care about gaining power, and they're going to overlook things if it's not going to go their way. I don't want to pay attention to that. How much more will it take to convince skeptics that what is happening in Palm Beach and Broward County is not a normal elections process? Rubio asked, and Rubio is not wrong. They're in violation of norms. They're the only counties that are doing this. All the other counties were able to get it done. And the response is, oh, but we have millions of people. Yeah, but so does Tampa. You know, there's other cities that have millions of... Miami-Dade County was able to deal with this with no problem. So what's going on in Palm Beach and Broward? Very weird. Look, I'm not a conspiracist. I don't know what's going on. I'm just saying, if you're going to claim there's no evidence and ignore the banning of the press, you're going to ignore Tim Canova, who is on the left challenging Wasserman Schultz, and act like nothing's happening, then... I don't know what else to say, but it seems like there is absolute corruption. To some degree, something is going on. The article he links to from the Palm Beach Post explains that election supervisor Susan Butcher broke from normal practice by banning cameras from recording the ballot review process, which Governor Rick Scott, who was waiting to see if he was elected to the Senate, accused of incompetence. Butcher claimed reporters were illegally taking photos and videos of signatures on mail ballots, but the reporters said they were filming from a distance and would not show any signatures. Police were brought in to keep journalists out and block their view. Are you kidding me? Listen, it's not an issue of whether or not they're filming signatures. It's an issue of whether they publish personal details from ballots, okay? There's a ton of people who can see the signatures. Any one of those people can report, hey, I saw so-and-so voted for this person. If the journalists are going to film what's going on at a public hearing to make sure they hold power to account, bringing in the police and threatening with arrest, why aren't people talking about this? This is insane. And this okay, it gets even better. NBC Universal, Fox Television, and Scripps Media sued Butcher over her refusal to let the media cover the public event. Marissa Bragg, a reporter for NBC6 Miami, posted the emergency petition on Twitter, writing that the media outlets were suing Susan Butcher and the Palm Beach County Canvassing Board for refusing to allow us to record video while they review ballots in a public meeting. Listen, when NBC, Fox Television, Scripps Media, when you have NBC suing, saying this is not right, they're barring the press, something is going on here, they shouldn't be allowed to do this. Where is the outcry? This is bipartisan, this is nonpartisan. These are journalists saying, people, listen, this is not right, and they're filing lawsuits. Something is going on here, okay? I don't know what. But when you're dealing with elections and you have people trying to operate in secret, something bad is happening, and I can only assume the worst. Again, not a conspiracy theorist, don't know, but I can tell you straight up, a reporter for NBC6, apparently, I don't know if they have it in the story, this is Marissa Bragg on Twitter, said, NBC Universal, Scripps Media, and Fox Television are suing Susan Butcher and the Palm Beach County Canvassing Board for refusing to allow us to record video while they review ballots in a public meeting. Apparently, an NBC lawyer went in and started yelling, you can't do this, it's illegal, and they threatened them with arrest. This is insane, man. Bragg followed up her tweet by announcing a judge sided with the outlets. Cameras are now allowed to record inside room where provisional ballots are being reviewed by Canvassing Board in Palm Beach County, she wrote. She said, breaking. Judge agrees with NBC News, NBC6, and other media outlets. Cameras are now allowed to record inside room where provisional ballots are being reviewed by Canvassing Board in Palm Beach County. They tried to stop the press. Listen. A free society needs a free press, absolutely. And people have been criticizing Donald Trump for him insulting Jim Acosta and calling people fake news. And to a certain extent, yeah, I can respect some of the criticism. I can also respect that Trump is fighting off a very hostile press. We know that 90% of stories about Trump have been negative. So of course he's pissed. But we do need a free press. These are local journalists, NBC6 local in California, being barred by the supervisor and threatened with arrest for trying to film a public election counting. They have a legal right to do so. A legal right. To me, that is corruption in and of itself. You want to talk about evidence? Let's say this. I don't know what they're doing with the ballots. What I do know is they tried to violate the law by threatening journalists with arrest for covering a public meeting. Boom. In my opinion, that's corruption. What are they trying to hide? As the saying goes, democracy dies in darkness, right, Washington Post? I think they would all agree that the barring of the press is an overstep when we're dealing with a contentious issue. Everyone should think so. Everyone. But I have to feel like there's so many people who oh no, they're trying to protect the people. They're going to act like that it's all in the interest of protecting the voters. And those people are probably just trying to win. And that's what really pisses me off. People only seem to complain about things when it's their side, when it's their issue. I complained when Ocasio-Cortez barred the press, and here I am complaining now that they're trying to bar local journalists, NBC6, from doing this. And I even tweeted the other day my direct criticism of Donald Trump for insulting Abby Phillips. She asked a perfectly legitimate question. This is not a partisan issue. And you can tell I'm pissed off, right? Butcher tried to claim Scott's criticism of her office's process and President Donald Trump's involvement were motivated by racism. There's the defense. There we go. They're trying to bar the press. Oh, you're racist. It is very unfortunate that some of the highest elected officials in our country are trying to disrupt our democracy because they don't like the demographics of our voters, she said. Oh, God, it's painful. I would wish that they would allow us to continue to count the ballots. We're just doing our job in accordance with the law. You mean trying to bar journalists and then having a judge rule you were in violation of the law and the journalists are allowed to be there? There's one thing. So I'm critical of journalists, very critical. I tweeted a bunch of criticism about them recently because I actually, in this video and the other one, I made criticism of them for constantly saying without evidence over and over again. You're not doing your job when you say that. You want to talk about no evidence? Let's talk about NBC News 6 that was barred from doing their job at a public event and had to get a judge to rule in their favor, otherwise they'd be arrested. Okay, you talk about violating the law. These are powerful people, who knows what they're doing, and they're trying to avoid accountability, and they're claiming racism. That's their excuse. Oh, you're racist if you try to call us out for what's going on here. Trump is often accused of threatening the freedom of the press, yet here is a county official actually calling for journalists to be arrested for doing their jobs. Please. Please tell me, when Donald Trump threatened the journalists at his meetings with arrest, what did he do? He showed Jim Acosta the door because Jim Acosta was talking for several minutes. Now look, I understand this debate here. Some people see one thing, some people see another, and they say Trump shouldn't have banned him. Sure, have that argument by all means. But Trump didn't have him arrested. This is a public election. Okay, Trump's giving a briefing on elections. This is literally the crux of our democratic republic under siege. And when people say, yo, we need to know what's going on, the supervisor says, you can't come in and film here, and anyone who challenges us, anyone who challenges what we're doing is racist. Okay, you know what, man? The press needs to be able to film these things. The judge ruled. There's no argument. The judge ruled what they did was wrong. Barring journalists from a public meeting, something is happening. And I don't know what. But I think it might be too late anyway. We'll see what happens. It looks like right now the votes are still in favor of the GOP, but it's possible in the recount they flip. I have no idea. What I can say is we should never stand for someone trying to ban the press from events. And that goes for Donald Trump, and this goes for what's happening in Florida too. It is not a one-off issue. The issue of Jim Acosta is extremely specific to, look, when the Washington Post called out Jim Acosta last year, he should have had his press access revoked then. Because when news organizations point to him saying he's not doing journalism, he's doing something else, we can all agree, right? No, apparently not. It's partisan. The point is, when Donald Trump starts arbitrarily banning people and refuses to do any press conferences, then we got an issue. But Jim Acosta is not that issue. This is an issue. The actual election, where they're trying to ban the press. Anyway, stick around. I got one more video coming up in just a few minutes.